One Nation's online mentions is known as the land of the eternal blue sky or the land of the heart. It is located in Eastern Asia between Russia, China, and Kazakhstan and has a population of around 2.9 million people, but more than half of them lives in the capital and the other one is nomadic. Those vessels secondly study that the capital of Mongolia is Ulaanbaatar, the largest city in the country with a population of 1 million people. The language is Mongolian, the currency is the Tuareg, and the climate can be defined as long cold winters and short cold to hot summers. Terrain: Mongolia has upland steppes, semi-deserts, deserts, and high mountain range. The Mongols believe in animism, that means that the elements have a soul that man must respect, and the most common religion is the Tibetan Buddhism. To the East Asia Forum, the main driver of the rapid economic expansion has been the mining industry development. They have richly endowed with natural resources, and the main export commodities are copper, coal, and coal. Mongolia is now one of the major coal exporters to China.
According to the Embassy of Mongolia, since the development of political pluralism and transition to democracy and market economy, Mongolia pursues peaceful, open, independent, and multi-pillar foreign policy. The country maintains diplomatic relations with more than 163 countries. As a part of a foreign policy priority of Mongolia, the country has been developing cooperative and bilateral relationships with the Russian Federation and People's Republic of China for a new level of strategic partnership and close cooperation, at the same time with their dear neighbors, as Mongolia also advanced its strategic partnership with Japan, the United States, Germany, the Republic of Korea, India, and Turkey. Mongolia continues to actively advance diplomacy to strengthen its position in the Asian region, to intensify bilateral relationships with other regional countries, to engage in a dialogue on political, security, and economic cooperation of the region, and to participate in the regional integration processes. According to the Embassy of Mongolia, as a result of these relations with the Asian partner states, Mongolia has improved its cooperation with Asian member countries, thus increasing the frequency of high-level visits. Mongolia participates in important events and regional integration mechanisms such as the Asian Regional Forum, the Pacific Economic Cooperation Council, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and many others. Relations with the UN bodies and other international and regional organizations were also deepened, promoting the social and economic development of the country and increased multilateral regional activities, thus increasing its reputation internationally. In the last years, as stated in the Embassy of Mongolia, this cooperation with the United Nations has increased its contribution to the UN peacekeeping, ensuring social and economic development and improving the state of landlocked developing countries. Yes, the government of Mongolia recognizes the importance of establishing free trade agreements with its main trading partners, being part of regional trade agreements and participating in trade negotiations having conducted within the framework of the WTO, by safeguarding of its national interest in order to create favorable conditions to access of local products in the international markets. Mongolia's trade policy is aimed by the principles of the WTO with the goal of increasing overseas market access for Mongolia's product through greater integration in the world economy.
Mongolia key political trends on human rights, children labor exploitation, where the government in coordinates with the International Labour Organization have drawn a labor law for minimum age of work and dignity jobs. Gender-based violence, hand-to-hand with the government, UNICEF, and different NGOs had made great strides to establish mechanisms to support victims and fair punishment. Education, where the government adopted the education sector medium-term development plan. Healthcare, investment from the Asian Development Bank will be made to improve the services, allowing primary healthcare access to all the population. On conflict, Mongolia have low levels of national political conflict and local resource conflict, medium low levels of ideological conflict, and high levels of urban crime and violence. Working together with the international organization and the government, looking forward for a better education to reduce national conflict. On international law, Mongolia is part of an international organization, working together for a better relation between countries and better governance in the territory. Some of them are the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the Asian Development Bank, the World Health Organization, the International Labour Organization, and the International Criminal Court. Okay, now we have some socioeconomic trends on finance, environment, and development. According to the definition of human development, this is divided into three main indicators: literacy, life expectancy, and income. These indicators and some other take Castro at 0.75%. This percentage is the same as the average of the rest of the world. Mongolia also have low levels of infrastructure, so investment will allow the country to have a better relation with digital services, tourism, added value in mining, and renewable energy. On finance, according to the World Bank, Mongolia has a surplus in the international trade balance. Also, in the national finance sector is having issues with the banking sector being unstable, and so is currently looking forward for regulation, supervision, and internal control of the sector. On environment, Mongolia have issues with air pollution, being Ulaanbaatar one of the most polluted capital cities in the world, as well as the mining industry, where the locals living in the countryside are being the more affected by the overall contamination of the mining industry.
The economy has been facing serious challenges to reach its full potential and take advantage of the mining's boom opportunities, since Mongolia, as the East Asia Forum city, is becoming increasingly dependent on the export of raw minerals. The world price fluctuations for commodities have destabilizing effects on the nation's economy, which is also exposed to changes in external conditions because its economy is divided into that 90% of its exports as minerals and more than 50% of its FDI is destined for the Oyu Tolgoi mine project mentioned before.
Okay, so here we can see some important indexes of the country, but the most worrying one is the one of corruption, since over the last years it has been raided and there are still high-profile cases that have passed through the judicial system. Also, regarding the index of economic freedom, it continues to be hampered by an inadequate rule of law, the government corruption is widespread, and the courts are not reliable.
On the other hand, the boom has presently had to take measures to support monetary and macroprudential policies. There has been a rapid growth in consumer credit, which increased by 50% in 2018. Asia Forum mentioned that its impact on the balance of payment puts upward pressure on the exchange rate and limits the advance of the accumulation reserve. The banking sector could also have risk on the sustainability of sharp increases in household debt. To improve this, the boom is currently working to introduce more comprehensive prudential tools, which can better ameliorate the destabilizing impacts of large-scale financial flows, credit concentration, and financial dollarization, says the forum. Another challenge from Mongolia is that there is evidence that confronts important problems of internal distribution of income, since not all the population is benefiting from the mining sector, and also the reimbursement of the income generated by the high growth of Mongolia's GDP reaches the non-resident. At present, however, the balance sheets in key sectors of the economy, such as the government, the central bank, household banks, and companies, are not strong enough and are vulnerable to exchange rate shocks. Mongolia has suffered the impacts of the pandemic of COVID-19. The World Bank says that the economy has contracted at 5.3 in 2020, one of the lowest down since the 90s. Key external factors such as the high declining global demand for key commodities and the border closure with China had clipped the mining-led economy.